Hello, and welcome to AA Beyond Belief, the podcast. I'm your host, John S. Today we'll be speaking with Courtney S., the webmaster of secularaaa.org. A little geek talk about a website, secularaaa.org. Hello, and thank you for joining us. I am here with Courtney S., who has recently designed a website that I think will be useful for our community called secularaaa.org. Courtney, how you doing?
Great, John. Thank you very much for having me on your show.
Well, it's nice to have you here. And I'm very grateful to you for the work that you've done with this website. I think it's turned out fantastic. You want to talk a little bit about how this whole thing came about? A lot of people probably don't know about secularaaa.org and ICSAA and all of that. So why don't we just kind of give some background information about the whole organization and then the site itself?
Sure, John. Most of the stuff that people are seeing today is a result of the Austin meeting. Our trip to Austin, which was our second convention or conference, if you will, of WAAFT, we elected a new board. The boards previously were elected to run the convention only, the conference only, and that board was called IAAC.
Right.
And WAAFT was We Agnostics, Atheists, and Freethinkers, and it was basically a organization to encompass those people of those various philosophies within AA. And at the convention itself, there was an opportunity for people not only to vote in a new board, but to voice their opinions in workshops about what they were looking for out of our organization. There was a great groundswell of enthusiasm coming from Santa Monica in 2014 that was built upon in Austin. And there was a lot of people there. There's probably 400 people there approximately. And those folks we're now beginning to think about the future of WAAFT IAAC, or, our Freethinkers and Atheists organization. So that also was a concern for AA, to be a part of AA. We're not part of AA, or what is the story there? And the overwhelming voice of opinion from the group that was in Austin was that we are to be a specialty group within AA, and we are to remain friendly with the organization itself, AA.org. So that once we had that understanding, the name Secular AA was chosen by not only the board, but by members in workshops as the overwhelming choice that would replace the name WAAFT, which some felt was confusing.
Yeah.
Others felt very friendly toward it. They liked it, and there's nothing wrong with that. But we were looking for something that would have a more universal recognition among our international constituency. And the word secular pretty well does it.
Yeah, certainly does. Quite simple. Encompasses all of us, doesn't it?
Yeah, and that's kind of what we're looking for. We're looking to be inclusive, and we're also looking for there's a certain amount of marketing that goes with this. People need to be able to recognize this easily, and the word secular rolls right off the lips. And when they begin to understand who we are, that's kind of how we developed the secularaaa.org website.
Yep.
And that website was to be the website that was from our corporate existence, which is something new to our organization. The corporate existence is a nonprofit corporation, which has actually just been finalized within the last month.
Yep.
All the paperwork and legwork and everything, and that is located in Las Vegas, Nevada.
Right.
And the reason for that is that Nevada is a very convenient place to, one, have a nonprofit corporation. Yeah. It's one of the better places in the entire world.
Yeah.
And we have 2 members of the board that actually live there. So
okay.
that was kismet right there.
Yeah, it turns
couldn't
out well.
be overlooked. And at this point, maybe it's a good point to point out who the board is.
Okay.
Our board has a chairman, and that is Sam E. And Sam, he's got about 34 years or so of sobriety, I think, and he's just had a tremendous experience in service, both here, Hawaii, out the West Coast. He's been involved in PRASA, all sorts of service assemblies and stuff that really merits him being elected the chairperson of the board.
He's done an incredible job.
Yes, in spite of a pretty hectic work schedule. He travels extensively.
Yep.
Our board was elected at the Austin meeting when we were there, and the board continues very dynamically to work almost on a day-by-day basis. We have multiple meetings as a board that are scheduled basically quarterly throughout the year. We have ones that we cannot do in person because our board is somewhat scattered geographically. We do by video conference with Zoom. We do Zoom video conferences, and that has been really good. So the board is working on several things. We have incorporated also the conference, which was the old IAAC,
right,
and now is called ICSAA, which is the International Conference of Secular Alcoholics Anonymous.
Yeah.
Again, that was voted on and approved at the Austin conference.
Right.
And ICSAA is its own corporation as well, basically a subsidiary to Secular AA.
Oh, interesting. I did not realize that.
Yes, it is incorporated in Canada.
Oh,
and and the host committee is essentially the corporate officers for that. One of the reasons for that was so we could collect Canadian dollars, which was important for our revenues.
Right.
The transfer of monies from America to Canada and so forth. It's important. So we set up bank accounts in Toronto, and we'll be able to take money in Canadian dollars and so forth.
So if the convention moves, okay, so ICSAA is going to be a subsidiary, I guess, of secularaaa.org, but it's also its own corporation. So if the convention is going to move it someplace different every 2 years, do you have to set up a new corporation for that convention every 2 years?
Yeah, we might have to do that, but we're pretty good at it right now.
Yeah, it's really not that bad. It's difficult, is it? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, we might have to. Obviously, not Secular AA will not have to have a new corporation.
No.
But that is also one of the reasons why Secular AA is so important. It's providing us an anchor.
Yes.
It's providing us a central core of focus so that when we do move from Toronto to wherever the next year is voted on, or in the years following, that we have this continuity through Secular AA.
Right. Yep.
And ICSAA probably doesn't need to be changed. I don't know if anybody would want to change that name, but that will be ICSAA in whatever town it is, and we will probably just do a quick incorporation for that. The reason for those incorporations is you'll find that throughout AA, the incorporation, some districts are even incorporated. So our area is a nonprofit, Area 73 here in West Virginia, and I was part of getting that started. And it's absolutely essential. You'll find throughout AA that
some AA groups themselves are actually nonprofit corporations.
Yeah, it's better when you're dealing with the bank, and our laws are becoming more and more strict. And it's difficult now for a regular alcoholic to stroll into a bank and try to open an account for a group.
Yeah.
They're not very friendly about it.
Yeah, I hear you. We actually, our group is not a nonprofit here in KC. AA Beyond Belief is, though. And I also like the idea. Another good thing about the nonprofit is it takes the organization. It releases the dependency of an organization on a single person, and it makes it an entity of its own that can be passed on to future generations. Yeah,
that's exactly right, and also the accountability of the organization is further opened up for inspection.
Exactly.
Nonprofits are not quite like regular corporations. They have a lot of inspection by the IRS, and the rules for performing a nonprofit are are all for the good.
Yeah.
As far as
they're very transparent for the public because you're getting your in our case we're getting our donations from AA members, and the membership has a right to see how their donations are being used. So
exactly.
Yeah.
AA. It's.
Go ahead.
Yes, go ahead, John.
No, I wasn't saying anything.
Oh well, I was going to say that AA itself is interested in secularAA.org. They seem to view this as a more stable organization. I don't know how to quite say this, but those that are involved in the General Service Conference and the service desk at GSO, see us as maturing.
Good. So has there been some discussion with them? Has there been some communication?
Yeah, for me it has. I have contacts everywhere up there from service prior. And I have been vocal about what we're doing. Our new General Service chairman that's going to start taking effect on, I think it's April 1st is her first day, is Michelle Grinberg, who is a Class A alcoholic, and she is the new chair of General Service Office, and she is a person who I've worked with in service in Area 73, and she has been, of course, a trustee, a nonprofit, a non-alcoholic Class A, and I also have a Class B trustee that is in my home group that is active, and so I have some other contacts that go directly to the chairs there.
I didn't know until you just said that we have a new chair of GSO.
Yes.
Does that rotate every so often?
Yes, it does. And the term, I might be wrong. I think the term is either 4 or 6 years.
Okay.
But I'm not sure how on the actual GSO chair. I know how the trustees rotate, but that's it. But anyways. She is an interesting person, a very open-minded lawyer. She's a lawyer, and she has been taking care of most of AA's legal business for a number of years now. Oh,
interesting.
So when it comes to the legal issues that AA has been involved in, which has been a few, she has been involved in this, and I have had the pleasure of speaking to her about some of this and been involved in conferences with her, in particular SASA and things like that, and regional conferences in which she has shared her understanding of how AA works in that regard.
I find those Class A trustees really interesting. Of course, my only exposure to one was Reverend Ward Ewing in California, because he was talking, he's a non-alcoholic, but man, deep devotion and love for Alcoholics Anonymous. And I find that really kind of interesting coming from the non-alcoholic trustees. So they have a really good understanding and appreciation for the fellowship. Anyway, just a side note.
Yes. In fact, we owe a debt of gratitude to a non-alcoholic lawyer who wrote the service concepts.
I never knew that.
They were written by, Bernard Law, I think is his name. I'm just having an old man moment here at the moment. But he wrote when we changed over from the foundation, in other words, Bill and Bob controlling everything essentially, and we went to the structure that we have now. The service concepts were written in order to facilitate that, and that's what the concepts, the 12 concepts in the book, the service manual is about. It's about that structure, and that is how the structure of AA works. And so that is why unity, service, and recovery, the service part is critical to most people for their recovery. And the more we understand them and do service, the more we understand our organization. And the same can be said for secular AA, and it will flesh out the same way.
It will. I find it interesting that the comment is that we're maturing. I kind of think we are too. Do you want to talk a little bit about that? How do you see secular AA having matured, this whole movement of secularists and Alcoholics Anonymous?
Well, good question, John. The maturing part is visible when you're in a room full of alcoholics at a conference and you ask for an opinion.
Right. Right. Good point. Yeah.
It can be pretty exciting. And I think what's going to happen here is we're going to see more and more people really interested in our future and the ability to get along with each other, to cooperate with each other, as opposed to just yelling their opinions. And opinions are interesting, and where would the world be without them?
Right.
But what is important for us in our future is constructive criticism, as opposed to just blatant criticizing somebody just to hear yourself be heard. The suggestions, some of the suggestions we heard from the audience in Austin were staggeringly beautiful. I mean, just showed their long experience. And our fellowship, the secular fellowship, to me has been has some good time. It's amazing the time that of the people that were in the audience in Austin.
Oh yeah.
I mean, there was not, I would say it was pretty staggering. I was continually going out to get coffee and talking to people with 30 and 40 years of sobriety.
Yeah.
And I was feeling pretty narrow with my little 20 years of sobriety. I was thinking, man, I still am a newcomer.
Yeah. I've been kind of an observer of the secular AA thing since I discovered it sometime before 2014. And I also see it maturing. What I saw was my first experience with it was the conference in Santa Monica. And I know a little bit of history behind that. In talking to Pam W., who was one of the speakers in Austin. But she said that when her and Dorothy H. were in Hollywood going to meetings there, they would have these newcomers that would come to their meeting, and they would remark about how nice it was to have a secular AA meeting. And Dorothy and Pam would ask each other, gosh, are there any others out there like us? Could we be the only people doing this? They weren't aware of other agnostic groups going on. And so they started to do some research, and they found out, oh gosh, this has been going on for a long time. We've got groups in Chicago, all over New York, Austin. So we've had this since 1975, these secular groups, but they were not connected with each other. They were not networked. They didn't know about one another. They were not organized within Alcoholics Anonymous as a single entity, as a specialty group within AA. So Dorothy and Pam said, hey, it would be fun to have a big party and have all these people. So they brought people together in Santa Monica. And I think that wasn't necessarily the very first conference of secularists in AA, but it was one that happened, I guess, in the internet era where we could connect afterwards. And we kind of came together. And so I was kind of watching as an observer as what happened throughout that. It was at that first, were you at the first convention in Santa Monica, by the way?
No, but the rumble that it created was what brought my attention to finding out more. And actually, you mentioned earlier the Reverend Ward Ewing, who was at that conference. When I found out, I know who he is. When I found out he was there, and then I found out Phyllis H. was there.
Yeah.
I wanted to know more.
Yeah. I thought that was brilliant that they had those two there. It was pretty incredible. But anyway, they were kind of going by the seat of their pants, and it was kind of at their very first business meeting, it was kind of a casual thing, it was kind of a small group of people in a small little room somewhere. Anyway, they were kind of going along, and I think they did a good job. And I saw a lot of bumps along the way to Austin. But by the time Austin came around, and I remember that very contentious, in my opinion, it was a contentious business meeting. That's just me. I left. I couldn't stand it. I left the meeting. But they elected a new board that consists of people, when I met them, blew me away because they all had deep experience with Alcoholics Anonymous, and in particular service in Alcoholics Anonymous. They were all very much aware of and interested in following the concepts and traditions of Alcoholics Anonymous. And I was just blown away when they called me into that meeting to ask me about WAAFT and everything. I thought, wow, that's secular AA coming of age. That's secular AA, in my opinion, maturing, because now we're not just going by the seat of our pants. We're actually embedding ourselves into the concepts of service, in my opinion.
Yes. And with respect as well to the people who came before us, before this internet thing started to be what it is today. I recently just put into the website the history of the Quad A group in Chicago.
Oh, cool.
And I was just thinking as I was reading it, I was almost had tears in my eyes thinking about what those guys did and how many people they've influenced. And if we ever wonder, are we doing the next right thing? Are we doing the right thing? Providing a place for an alcoholic to get sober in the midst of all this religion and things that bothers people is just a wonderful thing. Since the beginning, one of our great heroes is Jimmy Burwell. I guess I can say his last name now.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And Jimmy is one of my heroes. When I first read about him in the big book, I thought, oh my gosh, I can stay here. And imagine what it was like for him when they were sending the galleys of the original manuscripts of the big book, which I have, and sending them around to the different AA, or not AA at that time, it was actually Oxford group meetings, and discussing how the big book would go together with other members of the groups that they were showing these to, and arguing these points and everything. And Jimmy just was a thorn in their side. They just wanted him to go out and get drunk and leave him alone. And he didn't. He persisted. And I even have his last lead on my website, mountainrecovery.org. It was given in 1957 in Sacramento. And here's a guy who came into AA when it was a religious organization. I don't think there's any other way to describe it, the Oxford group.
Right.
And persisted despite a lot of people trying to get him out. And he maintained 30 years of sobriety before he passed away. I think it was actually 33 years of sobriety. And he had one slip at the very beginning, and after that, he was continuously sober for 33 years.
Wow.
But he maintained until his passing his atheism.
Right.
But he was the one who put into the big book God as we understand him, and they had to put that in for him, or else he was they weren't gonna ever get him to shut up, I guess.
Yeah, and that made a big difference.
And there were others as well.
You know, Courtney, you mentioned that history, and I'm looking at it now on secularAA.org. If you go to resources, and then you have some options in there, and they have AA group histories, and that's really cool. Are you looking for groups to submit histories to the site?
I am, and I can't remember where I posted it. Probably in the coffee shop. Mm-hmm. Posted a request for exactly that.
Okay.
If folks will look at those stories, they're just so informational. If you feel you're alone and you're out in the middle of North Dakota or something, no offense to North Dakota, but if you're out in the middle of the boondocks like I am in West Virginia, mm-hmm. and you think you're alone, there is a possibility you can find friends, and I'm sure that you will, no matter where you are. And the start a meeting is just such a great, wonderful thing we can do.
Yeah.
And our website is there for that reason, is to show people where meetings are, mm-hmm. to show, you can drive over to one that may be a little ways away from you and meet folks and talk a little bit about how to start another one, or maybe become a member of that one. And we also have a find a meeting function in which we have a map that anyone can place a pin on and indicate that they live in this location, wherever that is, and that they desire to have a secular meeting. Mm-hmm. And they can even describe what flavor they like, whether they want to be freethinkers, or they want to be atheists and agnostics, or they want to be gay, lesbian, and transgender, or they want to be Buddhists, or whatever. And
this is amazing. I'm looking at it now. People are actually putting pins in there of where they want to have meetings. Someone's interested in starting a meeting in Wilmington, North Carolina, Parkersburg, West Virginia, Akron, Ohio area, Nassau County AA. Actually, he's started his meeting now. Don V. Pretty cool. He's calling his group AA Beyond Belief. Awesome. That's amazing.
Yeah. So this is, again, we were talking earlier, the theme of maturity. This is maturity. We're moving and expanding. And I think that a lot of people are finding that it's okay to be an atheist, or okay to be a Buddhist and try to be in recovery. That there's a place where they can go and be among friends. I have been to some AA meetings that I needed another meeting when I got out the door. And the idea of going to friendly folks that have open minds is a very good idea.
Courtney, you really did an excellent job with this. I'm really enjoying this map thing. This could actually be huge. We need to get the word out about this map to get people using it, because I used to get a lot of emails and periodically still do, either from AA Beyond Belief now, from people that are interested in starting meetings, and I need to start referring them to this page.
Yes.
Well,
that page was originally done by Jacko.
Right.
With gratitude. But when I looked at Jacko's work, I realized that I recognized that work as being provided by a company. And I'm sorry, I forget their name, but I looked up isn't that silly? But I looked up the company and found out that they have plugins available for WordPress.
Oh,
and that
how about that?
We could customize. So it turned out to be, it's a software that's fairly well known, but it's a developer level software. It's not for the faint of heart.
The one that he was using, or the one that you're using?
Yeah.
Okay, the one he was using. Yeah.
Either one. It's pretty serious stuff. Mapping is very difficult.
Yeah.
And so I am a Google developer, and I have APIs, and I have map APIs, and I have projects in Google that I work on. So I started working through that in order to customize it and get it done for us. And I spent a few bucks to get the actual plug-in software so we could get into their developer area. Mm-hmm. And now that liaison between us and that company has resulted in some customization, and they are open to customizing stuff for us as we input it and if it works with our system. And so that's been really good. And I might say that our meeting page, we have been talking to the developers out there, Josh in particular, that developed that site, and we have customized some things already in that, and we have put ourselves on a list for a mobile app. And right now,
are they willing to do that? Because they had a problem once because we have our meetings are listed at other central offices and stuff, and they had that problem of duplication. Are they finding a way around that?
Yes. Well, I have there. I don't know if you know what GitHub is, but GitHub is where us developers go and develop things and practice with them. Mm-hmm. So they are using GitHub as well and have a lot of their software on GitHub that you can fool with. So that's behind their system. And the map, that particular page is very difficult to customize.
It is.
It has to be done again at a developer level.
Okay.
So we've done that, and I have put in requests for certain changes, and I've also asked for us to be put on the list for us to have a custom mobile app made for secular AA.
Totally awesome. Yep.
And so we're on the waiting list, and they know that we want it, and they're willing to do it. They're just they are also volunteers, and so
good people, by the way. I love these guys. They've done good work. This meeting directory, let's talk about that a little bit, because I know it's very useful, but you almost have to kind of know what you're doing when you're searching for a meeting, because when you pull up the meeting directory, if you go to seculara.org and you go to secular meetings, and you go ahead and you can click on that link up there at the top, and it'll immediately pull up all the meetings. But the default view is actually for the meetings that are going on the particular day that you are accessing the directory.
Yes, as you look at the screen, it says Saturday right there. It's the first thing you see.
Yep. And it gives you all the groups, and it looks like it's in time order from the earliest down to the latest that are taking place on Saturday all over the world. So there's, these are just meetings all over the world. If you want to search for a particular location, then you're going to click on the filter that says everywhere, and you're going to change that. Then you'll have a drop down that gives you the options of Asia, Oceania, Europe, North America, Central, South America. If you're in North America, click on North America. You got Canada, the US. Click on the US. You have all the different states, and you can go into whatever state. Let's go to New York. And I think we actually have some regions within states. Like in New York, you've got the Catskill regions, the New York City area. That's really amazing. And you can click down to all these different, keep drilling down. So I want to see meetings in Brooklyn. And then, Now you have to also change, if you want to see any day, you have to change on the day to any day, any time.
Yes.
Yeah, any type, and it'll pull them up. So it's basically a filter, but you can also search by zip code, by putting the zip code in the search box, and you can click on a map, the map button, and it will give you a Google map of where all these meetings are located, so you can actually see them on a map.
Yeah. Now, all of that stuff is working pretty cool. And if the person goes to the meeting and it says, like, the first one today is Satsang at 7 at the Kennel Club out in Vegas, if you click on Satsang at 7, of course, it'll narrow down its focus and begin to tell you more details about that meeting, where it's located, driving directions, all sorts of things, the type it is, and all that.
Yeah.
So
like
those
this particular one is a
well,
meditation meeting.
Yeah.
This is amazing. This is good. And, Ed W. helped a lot with this, getting all this information together, which is a lot of work, because we were doing this on WAAFT Central, and it was just impossible to keep up with it. But, God, that's amazing.
Ed has done really great on that. And Ed is the guy who is really contacting a lot of people with changes and stuff.
Yeah.
And he's doing that work. So there's another thing that we might mention is Roger C. had asked for a category of online meetings.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, we can't do that in that map right now because the software is organized for destinations or locations, and it doesn't do time. So right now we have the online meetings in our links page. And there's a section on there. We have all the online meetings we know about. If anybody knows of anything more, please send it to us.
Okay.
And the other thing we were able to do, one more thing to trick the map, is we actually managed to get one online meeting into it, which was the Irish one.
Oh, yeah.
And our meeting in Ireland, we had no place to put it, and we really wanted to list that. Mm-hmm. And so by talking with Kaylee, who is our Kaylee P., who is our contact there, we were able to find a street address in Dublin on Suffolk Avenue, which a lot of people that know Dublin know where that is, right downtown in Dublin, which is where she's looking to have her group begin to physically meet, not just be an online. And so we were able to have that meeting be entered into that map.
I have a feeling that's going to happen pretty quickly. There's she's got a lot of excitement and energy for this. She's pretty passionate about it, and I think that there's going to be something happening in Ireland pretty soon. It was interesting. I was talking to her, and the first thing that the AA in Ireland said is, "We're not going to list you."
Yeah. Sounds familiar.
Yeah, but it's kind of funny because, honestly, now the way it is, she's going to be listed on secularAA.org. Plus, she has her own website. It's almost like you don't even need these central offices to list you anyway, but it's okay. But they'll list her eventually. But she's going to have that meeting going pretty soon, I bet you.
And that's one of the reasons for that, is that she could find us in the beginning.
Yeah. And
that we were able to distribute the information. So this is the future of this organization and the website. The website is just an organ in which to distribute information over a broad area and to get information to people that are starving for it.
Yeah.
New meeting out in Fresno trying to get rolling, and they are on our list now, and they have a location in a house, but they were having trouble with trying to get that meeting listed with AA. Couldn't get it listed at all, and still haven't got it listed with AA, and I'm not going to get into that. But they have a place on ours, and so the young lady, the lady that's doing it, she's made from our information into pamphlets, which our website shows people how to make pamphlets from those who have made them before. And she's distributed those to regular AA meetings and everywhere she can. And that's how she's getting people to come to her meetings. So if it's not listed on AA, well, come over to secular AA. And if you search for secular AA right now, you'll be surprised to find us right at the top of the search. Yeah, well, I've been working on SEO until it's coming out my kazootie, and that is that is the software that's required for us to be listed with people like Google and Bing and other search engines.
Right.
Yandex and all these, and it's a lot of work. But I have been working hard to get us found. And we can do all we want, but if we're not found, it's not helpful. So we're up there now. We're rattling the cage of some of the more established people. And our nemesis is the treatment centers. They spend so much money on SEO. They have actually hired companies to do this.
Yeah.
And of course, I'm just a guy, so, but I'm right there with them. I'm 1, 2, or 3 right there with them.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And the more content too, I think will help. And I like the idea of the group submitting histories. I'm going to submit a history for my group. That's really cool. This is just a really amazing This is really neat. I really like this a lot.
Yeah, we're also, I think the enthusiasm of our fellowship is great because we're answering phone calls, we're answering emails, we're answering queries that people have about our information right away.
Yeah.
We're not sitting in some place and just languishing. We are on it, and Ed is right on top of it when people call in. So I had a guy yesterday or day before in Hollywood area of Los Angeles. We got into a conversation about a meeting, and they must have emailed me 10 times back and forth. But we're trying to get those people hooked up out there, and it turns out he's going to write a book about. He's actually going to author a book on secular AA out in that area.
Well, neat. God, this is amazing. This is absolutely amazing. I tell you, I just get so excited about this. This is AA's future, I believe.
Well, it's certainly broadening AA's horizons.
Yeah.
Inclusivity has been something that's been a discussion point for a long time. And it's amazing to me how some people get sober and then decide who else shouldn't be or should be sober. And I think Bill's original idea is it doesn't have anything to do with politics or religions or anything else. The only reason that we're here is to serve our primary purpose, which is to have our hand out to the alcoholic who still suffers.
Yeah.
And I believe that our hand has now become broader. It is a big hand, a big outstretching hand, which is if you look at our new logos for secular AA and ICSAA.
I like it.
You will see hands with their hands open. And the idea behind that logo was that we are opening our hands to all those that are looking for shelter.
Yeah.
And when I think of where does a Buddhist go? Where does a transgender person go? Where does an atheist go? Where does a free thinker go? Well, maybe we will be able to offer them a place to go.
Okay, I'm looking at the events, and I might be answering my own question because I was going to ask you, can other secular AA conferences list their event on this page?
Yes, real quickly, and I've asked for some Roundup information, and the first one that I am looking to put in there as soon as I get the dates is the Arizona Roundup coming up here in the fall.
Cool. I was wondering if they were going to do that. Okay.
They are. Dave is the guy out there, and he is excited to get me the information, but they are, of course, they're booking a room or a hall or whatever, and they just need to get that done.
Another one. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say there's another one, Willow.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Yeah, Willow has got another one that is coming up as well, and I haven't put that on yet because they don't have it. They don't have it firmed up in date and time.
Right.
So yes, anybody with a Roundup or area thing or whatever, we certainly will put those on there. Yeah, absolutely. And we have a contact form. If you look all the way down the right side of the menu, there's a contact form, and that's pretty much there to ask us anything you want to ask us or input anything you want to input. You can send us files or pictures. All that contact form has all of that built into it. It's a very sophisticated contact form, by the way, and it's completely customizable, so we can even add more things. So anything that you want to send to us, movies or whatever you think we need to know about, that's it. And our other contact form is if you want to start a meeting, we have a form for that. We have a new meeting form under the secular meetings that has all the information there. So we're trying to get this information out. And also, if you're confused or have any problems working the website, our fact page, if you open the fact page, you will find in there a bunch of things to show you how to work the website. And for example, if you want to start a new meeting or use the secular meetings map or send information that I was just talking about, files, pictures, or videos, or you want to know something about the links or about events or online meetings, all of those things, all you have to do is click on the word, like start a new meeting at that little X thing there that's on it, and it will open that up and
tell you how to do
provide you with instructions on how to work it.
Yep, it tells you how to use the meeting map. It tells you how to use everything.
Yeah, so those, again, that will actually grow as we have more questions. The more questions that people ask me, like, how's that work? And I said, well, don't we have that on the website showing you how it works? And they go, no. And I go, okay, well, I'll add it. We'll fix it. So
really
we'll
a good
do it.
job.
So all the whole idea is here to make it friendly for use. And if it's not friendly now, we'll fix it. One other thing I might want to say is there's something on there that may put people off slightly. It's the website disclaimers and policies.
Oh, yeah.
This is the legalese.
Mm-hmm.
And ours is fairly sophisticated on there. It has a lot of stuff.
Oh, goodness.
And there's a reason for that. And the reason is that we have actually hired attorneys through the nonprofit. We've hired attorneys to investigate what kind of liabilities and things do we have in running a website.
Oh, my goodness.
Because we are a corporation. So this all custom developed by attorneys for us to put on there. And I think their law firm is even part of that on those policies. When you open up, I think they show their law firm at the bottom. But
wow, that's amazing, Courtney. You guys have really done a lot of work.
Well, these policies are also become triple important when it comes to the conference. And you'll notice that we have a conference website now, which is this weekend. I'm beginning to fill in more details of the hotel and so forth, because we've secured the hotel. And that website will actually be taking money from people for registration and tickets and so forth. Registration tickets, dinner tickets, whatever. Mm-hmm. And so whenever you take money and private information from people, it's necessary to have these legal disclaimers involved in there. And also now on the websites, in web policy, we have to take into consideration anyone who clicks on our website. For example, children, should they click on and stuff. Mm-hmm. So we have stuff in there that goes into that. Or anything that we happen to sell, if we happen to sell a coffee cup or whatever to make a couple of bucks, all of that, we have to have a disclaimer of material connection. So this is a very modern policy that's on our website here to handle our future needs here as far as legal disclaimers. And the exact same policy is on the ICSAA. The ICSAA site too, and we also, not only do we have websites, we have Facebook and Twitter accounts.
That's right.
To further expose us to the community that uses all those things.
That's
so
right.
I encourage people to get on Twitter. You can tweet your brains out, have a good time. And Facebook, of course, we have a Facebook page for Secular AA. And we also have Facebook groups, which you obviously know very well. Mm-hmm. In Secular Coffee Shop and others, the AA Secular Coffee Shop Facebook group is a great place for discussion among our own. And so we have a lot of electronic media available. Now, notice also that our websites are working really well mobile at this point, even without a dedicated mobile app. And
yes.
I am not in a hurry for the mobile app because the actual mobile displays that I'm using are better than a mobile app.
Yeah.
They actually show more and are more flexible. So the mobile app will be probably the first use of that will be strictly a conference app.
Yeah. Well, I'm looking at it on my phone right now, and it looks great. I also am impressed with the speed of the site. Everything comes up immediately for me.
Well, I can't tell you what we've done on that. All of the graphics that you see in there, and the videos, the pictures and things like that, we have smushed them.
Okay. And
smushing is image compression. And so we have done image compression in here to reduce the load speeds of the pages.
Okay.
And we've made the pages just faster than lickety split.
Yeah,
That's
they're really fast.
basically what we've been doing.
They're really fast. That's important.
In web design, there's a saying that if it takes more than 3 seconds for you to get from where you're clicking to where you're going, you've lost the customer.
Yeah. We need to work on that at AA Beyond Belief, actually. our site.
Yes.
But we're going to fix that. We're going to move to a different server and everything. And I think I need to fix some of our images and stuff too, to make our site go faster. But I really do like the speed of secularaaa.org. It's just a really good site. It's easy to navigate. Everything's crystal clear, moves real fast. It's just really, really, really well done.
The developers over at the meetings site that we got our meeting software from said that we have one of the best sites in AA.
Isn't that funny?
So,
I think we do too.
Yeah.
I do. I really do. It's funny. A lot of AA central offices and stuff, I don't know why, but their sites, some of them are pretty good. Actually, I think New York's site is okay, and I think Toronto does a pretty good job with their intergroup website. But a lot of intergroups use this same meeting directory that we use at Secular AA.
Yeah, absolutely. They some of them have it modified for their stuff, and so we're doing it. To me, I would like to have it more open. They're doing a thing called masking, in which they're masking the HTML, and it's preventing me from getting easily in there and tweaking stuff. So. Yeah. I'm working with them on that. That's just a developer point.
Yeah. Well,
and the other thing about our website is one different thing is that I noticed that the websites that we're seeing on the internet are pretty flat looking. Everybody seems to be going to a real flat, not a lot of color contrast or anything, just without a lot of structure to it. What's the right word? Kind of blank looking sites, and I thought we could use a little color to ours. So I'm always worried about that, the design stuff, but we have a board of directors, and the board of directors is meeting regularly, and the website is one of the comments that is on there, and that's my area, is the website and IT. But not only are we discussing finances and corporation structures, outreach, conference stuff, we're, looking at our whole presentation. The website comes directly underneath it.
Yeah, I think you've done a really good job with the presentation of the site and the design of the site. It's just very easy to navigate. Everything is laid out very, very clearly. Everything is well written. It's easy for my eyes to read. I love it. I think it's really I think you did a really good job with this. And I think it's going to be very useful. We're definitely going to, with this podcast, I think will help. Oh yeah, I was going to say, for people out there that are interested in the Facebook group, Facebook groups are kind of weird because we have, in Alcoholics Anonymous, of course, you might not want everybody to know that you're in a Facebook group. So we have these secret Facebook groups. And they're secret in that nobody knows that you're a member of the group, but they're also hard to find and join. So, I mean, if you want to join our secret Facebook group, you can probably just email secularaaa.org at their contact list, and they can help you with that. Or you can even email us here at the podcast, and we can help you with that. But it's just a matter of adding you to the group. And then once you're in that group, you'll meet people from all over the world who are in that group, who are secularists in AA, and you can belong there and post there without everybody else seeing that you're a member of the group or seeing your post in that group.
Yeah, I believe you can lurk there pretty easily. If you look for Secular AA Coffee Shop in the Facebook search, I believe it'll pull it up.
Oh, really? But even if you're not a member?
Sure. Yeah, I think it will. I think it'll pull it up. I'm not sure about that. I need to flip a screen off here and look, but
it's kind of weird how Facebook does their groups. They have closed groups and they have secret groups. And closed groups, you can in a closed group, you can post within the group and nobody sees, none of your other friends outside the group see what you're posting. However, if you're searching for the group, you can see who belongs to it. Secret groups, on the other hand, are such that you can post within the group and only members of the group will see what you post, but nobody outside the group will see that you're a member of it. So I thought that you couldn't actually search for the group if you weren't a member of the group. You wouldn't be able to find it. I just went to a regular Facebook page that I'm using for something else, and I typed in Secular AA Coffee Shop, and it took me right to it. Oh, really? Okay. Well, I guess that's what we'll do then.
So I don't know whether that my Facebook just knew that, or but apparently it does.
Okay. Well, that would be the thing to do then. Search for Secular AA Coffee Shop, and you'll get the group.
We have 499 members in that group right now.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Yes, it is. When you think about it, when we went to promote the ICSAA conference in Toronto, we hit 499 to start with.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
That's the.
Well, it's a good way for us to communicate with each other. And it's just really a nice little format. It's a good way for you to get information out to the secular community. It's really kind of a valuable tool, I think. And it's good for people really out there that don't have, if they don't have access to secular AA meetings, it's kind of a nice way to learn about it too.
Yeah, we also have the ability to actually do the same thing on the website. Yeah, I think we can do it. Also, we can have a chat room on the website, and I have waited to see what the feeling of people is about. So if we ever have trouble with Facebook or any kind of privacy concerns, we can actually haul it right inside and do it ourselves. Should that be necessary? Who knows?
Yeah, I think that would be nice. Well, absolutely. So the next thing I guess we can finish up by talking about how things are coming along. I know we're in the very early stages of the conference in Toronto in 2018. Do you have any news that you can report about that?
Well, the biggest news, I guess, is we finally got the hotel straightened out.
There you go.
And it will be at the Marriott Eaton Center there in downtown Toronto.
Nice.
So that's a very nice hotel, and we're going to be posting some information on the website about the details. So that was important to get done, and the contract signed and the money down payments and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. That was important to get done before we could actually start booking speakers and formulating agendas and so forth. Mm-hmm. But the website that contains that information is secularAA.com.
Okay.
So, and one thing I want to put one promotion in here, and that is that people, when they go to our websites, please use HTTPS. Put that little S on the end of the HTTP part. That's okay. At the beginning of each URL.
Okay.
And the reason for that is that we have, number one, we have paid good money to put in security certificates on our site. So we have secure socket layer security now. So we have 2056-bit encryption, which is as good as MasterCard or American Express. And the HTTPS now, as of January 2017, is necessary for your website to be not deprecated by Google or Bing or the other search engines. So right. Google is really nasty about it right now. And the reason is they're saying that they don't want people going to non-secure websites. Mm-hmm. And the little S that's on the end there, just think of it as security or safety. And it's a whole different protocol of how the URL is transferred. So when you make a request on your home computer and you want to see a website, there's a transaction that takes place in which information goes God knows where. So
yeah, we're going to have to get that for AA Beyond Belief too. I think I'm going to wait till I move servers. I'm looking at secularAA.com, and that's really a beautiful site. And now secularAA.com is all about the convention itself in Toronto in 2018. And it's going to have registration and ticketing there, information there. It'll tell you when registration will open. It has all the social media links, the contact links. I love the design of this, by the way. Oh, wow. This is awesome. I'm going to ask you one question about it. The one thing that always kind of bugged me about the convention is they always, after the convention was done, they got rid of their old website. So in Santa Monica, they had this website, okay, and they had this great convention. Then after the convention, the website's gone. Same thing with the Austin convention. They had this website, and after the convention, it's gone. Will this website, seculara.com, will that just move every time you have a new conference? Will you still have the same website for that conference?
Strictly up to the board how they vote on it.
Okay.
But that, again, websites are on the agenda for our discussions. We have 2 more board meetings before SOAR.
Okay.
So, there's several more board meetings until Toronto. So a lot of this stuff will, again, flesh out.
Yeah.
It would be my recommendation. This is a particularly good software for conventions
Uh-huh.
at conferences. It's specifically designed for that. It's not like the other software.
Right.
So it basically has a bunch of open buckets for me to work with in there and make it customized. And with this one, we're trying to put as much information on the front page as possible. So when you go to the website and you open it up, you will be able to scroll and scroll and scroll and find all the stuff you need to do. And so right now, all you can see on there is a countdown timer.
Right.
And registration and ticketing and a little comment about when registration opens. A link will appear here. But not only will the registration and ticketing be handled from there, there will be tourism stuff on there from Toronto, like where you can go and book stuff and all that. There will be the speakers. We will actually have profiles on that front page of the speakers that are going to be our headline speakers. We will have the agenda published. We will have the breakout rooms, locations. We will have a map of the convention floor so people know where to go. We will have transportation links between the hotel, the host hotel, and the convention site. And we will have the public metro, all of the cab, Uber, all the links for transportation will be there, and maps to show how to get from different hotels back to the convention. It's going to be pretty fantastic looking when it pops up with all its information.
It's
just sitting there.
This is probably, in my opinion, the most sophisticated, best done AA convention website ever. I seriously say that.
Well, you ain't seen nothing yet because we got a lot more to go.
It really looks good.
Yeah.
All right. Well, anything else you want to talk about the site and the convention and the board? Anything else that we haven't touched on?
Just one thing, John. It just occurred to me that the board minutes have been asked about by folks, and rightfully so. Mm-hmm. And we're getting ready to publish our board minutes. But we have to have a vote in April.
Okay. To
approve those board minutes. And once they're approved, the minutes of the board, basically our operations, will be made public.
Okay. That sounds good.
So that's all that anybody's waiting for right now, is that we have to go through this legal motion to approve those minutes. And that's I think it's April 18th or whatever it is, our meeting.
I got to say, that's one thing I really like about what's happening now is that everything it's not a person making it's a group conscience. It's a vote. It's a decision by a group of people who are elected by the convention. And it's really, I think that we have a lot more transparency. We have a lot more organization. We just have a lot more, and it just makes people work together better. So I think that's a good idea to have that vote and and then everyone says, yep, I'm in agreement with these minutes, and you go ahead and post them.
Yeah, the board does nothing without a vote, and everything is spelled out. The board also, the people that are on the board are all doing jobs that they're good at, which is not always the case in AA. Right. We have the person who is our treasurer is a CPA. Does the accounting. Yeah, Joy, and Jerry is our secretary, and she is a ball of fire real estate lady who does all kinds of she's a businesswoman from Las Vegas. And our board website, we have a board website you can visit. It's secularAA.net. Mm-hmm. It should be linked, I think, into the other sites. And that, good grief, that board website has each board member's contact information. Mm-hmm. And it has, if you'll notice in there on the board website, there's a documents section. And our board members are working heavily in that documents repository. In fact, that took a fair amount of programming right there. So we have all of the documents from WAAFT IAAC that were transferred over to us. And we have all of the documents, of course, that we've been working on for incorporation, for conference things, for tons of things we have documents for. And those documents are actually visible. Now, you can't go in there and yank with them unless you're a board member, but you can see some of the items that we have, and you can see the repositories of information for WAAFT IAAC. So we have all of that history as well.
So do you have to log into that? Do you, like when I go to it, it asks me to put in a username and password. So do you have to register for that to view the documents?
Actually, it's only for board members.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Emeritus board members also are on there as well. So you're in there, John.
Okay.
You can register and go in. So that might be another point. We have 2 emeritus board members. We have Diane P. and John S.
Mm-hmm.
And the idea behind that was so the board didn't operate in a vacuum, and they had information of what happened, what our history was about, and people who went before, which is a valuable commodity.
It really is.
And we have also had others, Jerry F. and others, that have been very helpful in telling us information that we wouldn't ordinarily have access to.
Yeah.
So we've been lucky there. And there's other things we have a forum in the board in which the board members can discuss certain things. We have a mission statement, which is the mission statement right now is blocked off from access until it's finished.
Okay.
So when it's finished, it'll be published. But we have some people working on a mission and vision statement.
Okay.
And of course, any organization without one doesn't know where it's headed.
That's right. Right about that.
So we would like to publish what we're doing, and we are then, of course, open for input in those areas. We've got outreach going on with Thomas B.
Mm-hmm.
Nigel up in Toronto is our newsletter, which is, I'm glad I thought of that. We have a newsletter coming out now. So there will be a published newsletter on secularaaa.org.
Okay.
In which the board or Secular AA as a whole is publishing their news that they have to share. And
that reminds me, I'm going to send you, I'm pretty sure that it's okay for these, the WAAFT Central list, because there were people that signed up for the WAAFT Central news and information. And now that WAAFT Central is Secular AA, I think it's okay for you to have that list. Did you guys inherit the mailing list also from the other board for the convention in Austin? So do you have a list of people?
Well, that turned out to be a little bit convoluted.
Yeah.
As that was not my area that I was working on, but I have access recently. I've been sent the PayPal list, and that's all I have at this time.
Okay.
So
we'll encourage people from AA Beyond Belief, because we have close to 1,000 subscribers on our mail list, and we'll encourage them to sign up for your newsletter, for the Secular AA newsletter too.
Right.
So that might help.
Yeah. So that hasn't been published yet, but it's coming out. Nigel's in charge of that, and Carol Mack is our chairperson for the conference in 2018.
Okay.
Carol is an attorney. Again, we have people who know what they're doing, and Carol, Nigel, and Nigel, and again, trying to think of our vice chair. I just can't get to that page right at this second. But anyway, our host committee group has been formed at corporation, and we had the people in there to put that together that had really good expertise. So all of that's done. I'm getting a million inputs right here right now. People see them up on the site. So the excitement is really growing with this whole thing, and we have put together, I think, a good basic structure, and it'll be very interesting for folks that are coming to Toronto to see where we have come in that time. Mm-hmm. And Toronto's quite a place.
I know. I'm looking forward to it. I've never been there. It looks beautiful.
Yeah, it should be. It's in the summer.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll be nice and warm on the lakefront there.
That'll be nice.
I've been in touch with the tourism board there, and they've been very helpful about telling us what events are occurring during our convention time and what the activities are around town, the places to visit, that sort of thing. So as time passes here and we get more and more information, we'll put it all on that one website, secularaaa.com. And it will continue. There will be more to be revealed, as they say.
Yes. Okay. Well, Courtney, thank you so much for this. It's been very informative, and I look forward to putting this information together as the podcast comes out. I actually have a little idea in my head of doing a sort of a video of the website itself to show people, where everything is. I don't know what I'll do with that, but well, thank you. This has been really a nice conversation.
Thanks, John. Appreciate the opportunity to share some of the excitement of what we're doing.
Well, thank you for all your work. Appreciate it.
Thanks, John.
Take care. Bye-bye. Well, that's it for another episode of AA Beyond Belief, the podcast. Hope you enjoyed it. We'll be back soon enough with another episode for your listening pleasure. Until then, don't drink, go to meetings, and help others.